All right, so thank you all for attending today. My name is Charles Owen with Paladin Data Corporation. Today we're going to be talking about a webinar on the new, well, not so new, but it's been around for a while, but it's time for probably a rehash here, the Mobile2Checkout product. And this is going to be, it's very popular. Apparently we have lots and lots of people signed up for this, so I appreciate everybody for your attention on this. I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes. I don't think that's going to be a problem. And so this is being recorded, so in the future you will be able to watch this again. I do have a co-facilitator with me today that is going to warn me if there's any problems with the audio or the video or anything else. So just to make sure, and his name is Brian, and Brian is going to be there, so if he interrupts me, it'll be for a good reason. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So starting, take Paladin with you on the go with Mobile2Checkout. The agenda is I'm going to just show you a little bit about the Mobile2Checkout product at a glance, also some of the advantages, accessing the Mobile2Checkout system, how you do it, how you get into it, and then also reviewing the Mobile2Checkout features. And we'll go through each one of those features one by one. I have screenshots of everything. It's hard for me to have a tablet here to show you what actually is going to be on the screen. So I've got screenshots of everything, and hopefully you can see it. There are a few challenges with character size in the images, but hopefully it's not going to be a problem for you. All right, and then how to sign up for the service is the last slide here. So let's get started. Okay, the Mobile2Checkout at a glance. All right, so at a glance, you can check out items from anywhere in your store at any time in real time. So literally, you can take this thing out to the parking lot, throw a bunch of items and product in your trunk, take it to the flea market, drive across state, whatever you need to do. You can sell products from your store, from anywhere, using this Mobile2Checkout device. It honors most forms of payment, including credit cards. So there's a device that clicks into the top, and you'll just swipe the card there. And you can also, besides just transacting payments right there on the spot, you can also build and store quotes to sell from within your store at a later time. And it uses virtually any up-to-date Android tablet. So the advantages of Mobile2Checkout. So number one, it's included with your monthly Paladin subscription. So that's good news. It's basically free with the exception of the tablet itself. And also if you have to sign up for any type of Wi-Fi or optional mobile service, it can run on Wi-Fi and or mobile connections. And you can use it as a line buster as well to reduce like these lines that you're seeing here in this photograph. It's unlikely that your store will be this busy, but I hope it is. And if it is, you might want to get a few of these devices and run through the line and help people check out faster. All right, so how do you access Mobile2Checkout? It's pretty simple. You just call us. And what we'll do is we'll configure this Mobile2Checkout product to work on your device. If it's an Android and it's up to date, you just, we're able to download and get that app on that device, and then from that moment forward, you'll just have to double click on that icon to access the application. Pretty simple. All right, so once you access the mobile app, it will come up and prompt you with the company and code. Now, most of the time, these credentials will be filled in automatically. I think you just have to fill them in once, and then they're going to be there in memory. It will show you briefly a display that says connected to make sure that you're all connected. It puts that little indicator on the bottom. And then to continue, now you're going to have a list of your store or stores. Now, if you have multiple stores, they'll be listed here. If you just pick the store, tap your store, and you're ready to go. After that, it's going to ask for your employee ID and password. This is for accountability, so we know who's in the system doing what at all times. So when you enter items into Mobile2Checkout and actually transact payments, it will track that in Paladin along with your credentials. Next, it says Start New Invoice. So this is a screen that you're going to be on for the most part, and you'll just start a new invoice by tapping that screen, and then you're on your way. So let's talk about some of the features. So after you tap that Add a New Invoice, you're going to have a lot of available features, and the system's going to kind of prompt you through what to do. But in a nutshell, you can search your customer database and associate customers with an invoice. This is really good. So you can use the customers that are in your database, and you can tie them to the invoices. You can scan items into the invoice as well. So there's a little picture device or a camera on your tablet, and you can just take a photograph or point it at the UPC code on the box or packaging, and it will bring up that item if that item is in fact in your inventory. You can also search the store's inventory, so you can add items that way as well. You can just do a search, look for pine or glue or whatever you need to, and all those items will come up that have that description or that word in the description, and then you can choose. Add items into the invoice manually as well, so you can, if you know the product code number or the cheat code or the part number, you can just manually key it in, and boom, it comes right up. You can also modify an invoice's quantity and price. Obviously, you're going to need to do that if they're buying more than one. You don't need to scan all of them. You can just change the quantity. And also, if you want to give them a discount, you can change the price field. You can add invoice notes as well. And then it's a very straightforward checkout process. We'll kind of show you that as well. Accept multiple forms of payment, as I mentioned before. It lets you do cash, credit card, put it on account. And then you can email the receipts. In some cases, they can be automatic, or you can do one-off email receipts. Process item returns right on this device. And you can also save a transaction for later processing in Paladin. So if somebody comes in, they're a known customer, and you, or not, but they say, yeah, I'll buy those things. I'll come by your store later today and pick them up. You can store that invoice and recall it in the store at a later time. And then you, obviously, you can recall the Mobile2Checkout invoices when you're back in the store to process those. All right, so I am getting a question. It says, is there a limit to the number of mobile checkouts we can add? Can it connect to a network printer for receipts? All right, so there isn't a maximum number you can add, I don't believe. I think you can have as many devices as you want, but yeah, I'm sure that's the case. And as far as connecting it to a printer, at this time, it's just emailing of receipts. We don't have a little printer that you can put on your hip at this time that it prints. I'm sure that'll be in a later version. Thank you for that question, John. All right, to continue, search your customer database and associate customers with an invoice. So I'm going to go through each one of those features that I just showed on the prior screen, and we can see the screenshots, so it'll kind of give you a flavor of how the system works. So when you log in and you go to start a new invoice, you have an opportunity to put in a customer name. You don't have to, but you can. To add the customer database, you just tap the customer magnifying glass and search for the customer and select a search option. So you can be able to search by name, account number, address, phone number. Uses the same information or advanced lookup features that we have in the Paladin product. Then it will show you display of those results. When you see those results, you can just pick any one of those results that come up. And in this case, we searched for Smith. It found 3 Smiths, and it added that as a customer to the invoice. What's next? Next, we can scan items into the invoice. So again, you have a camera on the device. You just open up the camera, scan it, scan the item, and poof, it'll come right into your invoice when you scan it, as long as it recognizes that UPC code. Obviously, if it doesn't recognize UPC code, it will say part number not found. The barcode scanner accessories for Android tablets can also be used. So if you want to go with a standalone scanner device, you can actually use that device, and it would hook up to Bluetooth. And then rather than taking a picture or putting your camera over the UPC, you just scan it with this little device. So another question that came up is, can you put in the ACE customer number? And the system today, as it stands in this version, it does not do the rewards or promos at this time. So that was a good question. Thank you for that question. Search the store's inventory and add items into the invoice. So you can just press search inventory on the bottom, that big square red tab. And at that point, you just type in the keyword, search the results. And what will happen is it'll find a list of those items and you can search it. You can also add items manually by just typing the number. So the three ways to add items are to use the scanner built in, use a Bluetooth scanner attached, search for the item in your inventory, and or if you know the part number, you can just manually type it in and they'll add to your invoice. Now, you can, once you get the invoice in there, you can actually go ahead and change a quantity and price. You just click on the little pencil to the right of, there's a pencil and a little garbage can to the right of the item. So you can either delete it or you can edit it. So when you edit it, you can edit the price or the quantity. And beyond that, you can add invoice notes. So to insert a note on the bottom of the display screen, it says add note, that red button you see there. And you can just very simply add a note. And if you like, you can add a second note and a third note, as many notes as you wish, you can add into the invoice. Straightforward checkout process. So to complete the checkout, there's a button on the bottom that says checkout. You just click on that checkout button, and now it gives you three forms of payment: account charge, cash, and credit card payment. So you can pick one. If you pick cash, for example, it's going to come up, and let me go back here. Yes, if you pick cash, you can go ahead and put in an amount. So if the amount due in this case, $433.31, you can type in $450, for example, and it will tell you the accurate or the amount of change that's due. Account charge is going to ask you to, obviously just sign it so the customer can sign it, but it will show you account charge if in fact you've selected a customer. If you haven't selected a customer, obviously it's not going to offer you that payment method, as well as if you don't have a charge account, but you do have a customer in the system, obviously it's not going to let you charge it either. So that's the first form of payment. Second form of payment, as I mentioned, is cash. And here's kind of a little screenshot of transitioning from cash to putting the actual amount in to showing the invoice total, cash paid, and the change due. So it was paid $433.31, gave cash of $450, change due $16.69, and hit done. And now if you use a credit card, you can just select a credit card payment. It's going to then say, please scan the card or swipe the card. There is a device that you'll be purchasing from Paladin, through Paladin, and it comes from WorldPay. And they are the processor that enables the processing to take place in this device. And that device is a swipe. They do not have a dip card chip yet on that, but it can use the swipe. And it will run it through and ask for a signature. And they can just sign with their finger, just like you do when you go to the local pizza parlor that uses the other apps that have like Square and such that have the finger signature. All right, emailing the receipts. If you have a customer set up for email, it can automatically email the receipts. So when the transaction is complete, it's going to come up and say email. And like I said, if you did not select a customer, or if the Paladin customer does not have an email, then you have to hit email receipt and type that in. Otherwise, if they do have an existing email, it can pre-populate that and you can send that right here. Now you must have an email account set up in the default mail app on your Android device. So that has to be set up because it's using the integrated email system in the tablet versus using the Paladin system back at the store to email. So that is a prerequisite here, and all of these do. You just need to set it up. It's pretty simple to do. Processing item returns, how do you do it? Well, the same in Paladin. You just edit that quantity field and put a negative number in, you're done. You can apply a credit right there. And then saving a transaction for later processing. On the bottom of the screen, when you get to the checkout screen, there are two options. One is cancel the invoice, and the other is save the invoice. So if you hit save the invoice, it's going to want to save it with to a customer name, and you can put a name and a memo in to save it, and hit save. And then what you can do later on, when you get back to the store, you go to your recall transactions at invoicing, and you can actually see that John Smith has a mobile invoice set up right here. So that is very easy to recall. You just click on that, it brings up the original invoice. Now, here's something that's really cool. If you go ahead and set up an invoice, and this will actually address the question before as far as promos and rewards go. If you go ahead and save that invoice and bring it and recall it up in the store, and you add your customer and their rewards number, it can apply those discounts and those promotions to that invoice before you check it out. So there's your mechanism for honoring trade discounts and other promos that may otherwise not be on the device, but you can use the logic built into the Paladin system back in the store if you just save the item to the quotes, stored quotes. All right, so that really concludes all of the mobile checkout. I'm more than happy to take additional questions. And as far as learning more about this, right now there's a Paladin Goes Mobile Sell Anywhere with Mobile2Checkout app. What is it? It's not a webinar at this point. It will be a webinar, but right now today it's a features write-up, and it has pretty much all the different slides that I showed you today, and it walks you through the entire process just like I did verbally. How to use Mobile2Checkout app on the Android device, and then there's another article that says Paladin Fall 2018 Release Guide, and that also has information about not only mobile to check out, but also mobile to deliver. And by the way, if you haven't checked it out, you'll want to check out Paladin Fall 2018 Release Guide, and you can see it. All you do is log into the Paladin system, and you get that splash screen that says feature at the top. One of your first or second items will say Paladin Fall 2018 Release Guide, and there's a link to it to access more information. Just click on that link, and what it will do is it'll show you all the different features in there. So that is something that I would encourage you to do. Like I said, this was a very popular session today. I really, really appreciate everybody logging in. I only took, 19 minutes or less to deliver this. I was hoping for 20 or 30, and I actually exceeded expectations here and got you out of here quicker. Thank you for attending today. There will be another webinar on the 19th, I believe, of March, and that one is going to be on all the different integrations that Paladin offers and how you might be able to take advantage of those. These aren't necessarily kind of in-your-face integrations, so you might want to dial in for that, or at least watch it later, because you might discover that there are some integrations that we offer that you aren't taking advantage of. All right, so I do have another question from Justin. When can we expect the ACE Rewards program to be integrated with Mobile2Checkout? Well, that's a very good question, and I wish I had the answer. Timeframes is something that I just can't give you, at least right now, because I don't know where they're at in the process. So I know that we are working on it. It is something that's going to be in version 2. But you have to understand, this is very complex, because all the logic that we have built in, to the Paladin system will also need to be added to this applet in the Android device, and that is a tall order. So it will come. I just don't know when. So I appreciate the question, and you're more than welcome to ask any more. I'll stay on the line for another 30 seconds or so if you can get your questions. Here we go. So the transactions are all stored in real time except the stored ones, right? So I think the question is, are all the transactions, the completed transactions, stored in Paladin? The answer is yes. So if you go to Paladin, you look at the historical sales, either for that customer or invoicing, or in the inventory for the particular item. You know, you can recall invoices from 3 different modules: inventory, quote, customers, and inventory. So the information is stored in there, and it actually shows it was a mobile sale. So yes, that is stored in there. As far as the transaction for the stored quotes, it isn't actually a transaction, a completed transaction. It is a stored quote. So yes, it is a stored quote. Once that stored quote gets transacted, then it will be a completed transaction. You'll be able to find it in the historical sales. I hope that answers the question. Also, Jen, you gave me a question here. I joined late. You may have addressed it, but is there any plan for it being able to go to Apple devices? There is a plan for that, yes. And again, I can't give you any time frames, but that's just a logical step, I would think. I can't commit to it because, again, I don't own those resources, but I certainly hope so. Can you designate, this is from Nancy, can you designate a defective return? Nope, I don't think so. You can just do a return at this point, but you can put a note in there saying it's defective, and perhaps make that notification or change once you get back into the store. Another question from John: the till can be balanced by mobile device? No. Can the till be balanced by mobile device? No. The balancing of the till will still be through the daily report, daily register report in Paladin. My goodness, I really appreciate all the questions, folks. I know that this product is here. It's available. You can have it. It's free of charge, and I can tell you that yes, there's room for always room for new additions and new features and improvement, and we will continue to update just as we do the Paladin application. So I thank you for your time. I don't see any additional questions coming up, and I'll be signing off here again. Join us on March 19th if you can. If not, you can always get to the webinars later, and that would be either under the Paladin app under Help and go to Webinars tab, or you can go into Paladin Point of Sale from anywhere, from your house or anywhere else. Click on the Websites button on the top, go to the Help portal, and from there you can go straight to Webinars or Knowledge Base or anything else. All right. That concludes today's session. I again thank you again so much for attending. I hope this was good information for you, and I hope to see you next time. Take care, everybody.